Have taken over this investigation. Emergency crews were called to the home on Hidden Lake Trail east of 8th Line and Danby Road in Halton Hills early on Wednesday morning. The house engulfed in flames, and when the fire was out, the bodies of a man and woman found inside. Police have not identified the victims, but they say they are believed to be the occupants of the residence. Neighbors tell CTV News that a couple identified as Christina and Andrew Rirak lived in that home. For the latest now on this investigation, let's go live to our crime analyst, Steve Ryan. And Steve, I understand you have some new video tonight that we're going to be showing our audience. And this is video from a security camera captured the night before the fire. Let's have you walk us through what we see on this video.
Sure, Steph. The video you're referring to was captured at just before 6:30 on the night before the fire. It was captured by a concerned neighbor. He had one of those Nest surveillance cameras in front of his house, and he picked up some very interesting things on his surveillance camera. He called me this morning to tell me about it. I made sure that he contacted the police first because they need to have that evidence if, in fact, it was as good as this man said it was, and it was. And then he sent me a copy afterwards. So what you're going to see, I'll get out of the way here, you're going to see at 6:28 p.m., you're going to see the car pull into the driveway, into the right side of the driveway, into the garage on the very right side. You'll see the garage door come up. You'll see a suspect on the right side of the house gradually sneak his way into the garage as the car pulls in. You'll see somebody get out of the car and walk to the front. It looks like they're going up the garage stairs. Then you'll see the suspect, I'll call him the suspect because I believe that's what he is, looking through the passenger door of the car, and then the garage door goes down. That tells me a few things, Steph. Number one, it suggests that the guy that snuck into the garage is known to the two people that were in the garage with that person, because the person that got out of the car walked into the garage door. Walked into the entrance, I should say, and then as they got up to the entrance to go into the house from the garage, which you can see in the video, the garage door comes down. I would suggest that had that person been a stranger, that garage door would not have come down. So that's number one. The second thing is that the neighbor tells us that he saw the fire at roughly 6 o'clock, at 5 o'clock in the morning. He said it burned slowly for 10 to 15 minutes before it engulfed the one side of the house. Again, the two people didn't get out. Lots of room in here for them to exit, lots of doors, lots of windows. That didn't happen. Suggests something more nefarious may have gone on. And lastly, the light on the front, the neighbor said, is usually off at night. It was on during the morning when he saw the fire. And the front light on the garage, that was illuminated all night. That's usually off as well because the people that live there were afraid that it cast such a big light on the neighborhood, so they turned it off at night so people could sleep. Obviously, whoever committed these crimes turned that light off so nobody could see, and they knew nothing about the front light. That light stayed on. Very important pieces of information that, as an investigator, you really absorb when you're trying to figure out what happened. And lastly, the autopsies were today. The police determined that these two deaths were suspicious as of the conclusion of the autopsies. That also suggests that they weren't alive during, that the fire didn't kill them, I should say, because at autopsy, if you die in fire, your lungs turn black, and that's how they tell the cause of death. If that wasn't the case with these two individuals, this is why the police were able to tell that it was suspicious. Now you got the video. Now they've got a homicide investigation stuff.
I know that you've been speaking with a neighbor on scene today, and tell us more about what they told you.
Yeah, so this neighbor who lives very close to these people, he said that he'd gone through his video surveillance the night of the fire, the day of the fire, I should say, and then he went back and reviewed some of that evidence after the fact, and that's when he saw the people at 6:28 p.m. going into the house the day before the fire. That was all done afterwards. Now, he thinks there may even be more information on his surveillance video. He's very concerned, very good neighbor, I would say, and he's looking at more of his video surveillance as well. He thinks he may have more evidence on that he's going to turn over to the police once he sifts through it, I should say.
Right. Police are aware of this video, Steve?
That is right. I talked to the police myself today to confirm, in fact, that this man turned that video over to the police, and a uniformed officer came to his house today, picked up that video. They are well aware of it. It's a key piece of their investigation right now, and that's going to go forward with them, I'm sure.
Steve, I want to ask, is there any chance the person in the vehicle, in the driver's side, who gets out to close the garage door did not see that person on the passenger side and closed the garage door without that information?
I'm going to say no, Jackie, and I say that because in that video you can see this person again, who I'll call a suspect. It appears as though he bends over and looks into the passenger window of the car. It looks as if they're all familiar with one another. The garage is not that big. And let's not forget, the lights on the back of that car were still on when that suspect walked into the garage. That suggests there was somebody in the driver's seat of that car, because I do believe the brake lights are on. And I think it was the passenger that may have got out of the car and walked around to get into the house. And then that person closed the garage door up.
Okay, so you think there were two people inside that vehicle when it pulls into the house?
Quite possibly, yeah. And we do know that both people were found in the garage. And if you look, I'll get out of the way again, you can see all of the smoke damage and the fire damages on the one side of the house. That's where the fire started, in the garage. That's where the bodies were found. They may have been killed right after they entered that garage. And this is why this whole thing with the lights being off and on is all mumbled jumbled, because nobody knew, because those two people were injured or perhaps even dead at the time. And then that slow burning fire was set the next morning. But those two people were found in the garage, which is really odd in and of itself. That's where they came in contact with the suspect, and that's the last time you see anybody in that garage before the garage door comes down.
Good day, my wonderful people. It's me again, the great, one more great countryman. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit your notification button. Now, look at the screen in front of you. I'm taking you to Ontario, Canada, Georgetown. This is an incredible video. You already saw the video in the front. Two people pull up in a them garage, and you see a guy from the back, from the side, the right side, come in and go into the house. And you heard from the news report that the next morning, the two people that owned the house, they were found dead in the garage. Wow. So now, why did I do this video and it's not Jamaica and gangster and anything there? I wanted to point out how Canada is. I wanted to show the level of violence and cunningness and diabolical stuff that happens in Canada. Because a lot of people, they take Canada for some little easy country. Yeah, it's clean, the people in this slow, whatever. But let me tell you something about Canada. Canada is a very dangerous place. Some of the ghettos in Canada is like the number one ghetto. Like even Rexdale, you know, they're far from Chicago. The only difference with Canada and America and different places is that Canada only have 35 million people, the size of population of California. But when you go into neighborhoods like Jane and Finch, forget Jane and Finch, when you go into Brampton and the outskirts, there's a lot of mob activity. There's a lot of bikers. There's a lot of Chinese gangs in Toronto, Canada. You see what I'm saying? The Jamaicans are there, and the Jamaicans made their mark. You see what I'm saying? The mobs, the bikers, the Chinese, the Russians. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Russian mobster in Canada. Personally. So, yeah. In those countries, people might think it's a bed of roses, but it is not. As you see from the series of videos I've been doing about Canada, you realize that, yo, you have a lot of gangsters, you have a lot of crews. People are quicker to coup up in those places. Like, if you say you go to Markham and Eglinton and you live in there, when there is a party, it's not just you who go to the party and the whole crew, the whole man them on the block. You see what I'm saying? Just like England. England is the same kind of structure where everybody crew up. I remember one girl tell me they have NSC crew in Canada. I asked her if they made NSC. How can you be NSC crew? The last time I remember, NSC was made by Louis Vuitton. So, I don't know. But, yeah, like I said, I just did this to highlight the level of violence and sophistication and diabolicness that goes on into criminality and crime in Canada. So that's all this is, just a highlight. You can drop your comments and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Country Boss, Country Gal, Nuclear Rastaman, Silent River, the Country Squad. Like me the other Grammy. I want to say thanks to my mom, my dad. No, let me stop. Yeah. So, if you like it, just, subscribe. Even if you don't like it, subscribe. And even if you don't like it, drop a comment. And everybody, my love, subscribers, non-subscribers. Yes, man. Non-yes, man. Everybody, my love, countryman, I'm out. Peace.